And welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast season 8. Yes, wow, what a way to kick-start our 8th season with a very, very good friend of ours of the show and mine personally, Adrian Leijer, Director of Coerver Coaching Geelong and former Socceroo, of course. Adrian, welcome back to another year of, what did I say, another year around the sun.
Tonchi, good to see you again. As I say, as always, I love what you do and love what you do for the Geelong football community. So it's good to be back.
Yeah, now it's no surprise that we find ourselves at Banyul Warrior Reserve, Surf Coast Football Club. Surf Coast, one of our big supporters, one of the first clubs, and big shout out to Steve Christou and Brett King of the program. But we'll talk about Surf Coast later because obviously Coerver Coaching has got that connection with Surf Coast. But before we talk about that, been a very busy off season, very busy summer, even though I guess we haven't really had so much of a summer to talk about. But mate, have you had a chance to have a bit of a break, have a bit of a holiday, or
Yeah,
no?
I mean, I think everyone says that, but I'm also like everyone's lives are busy. But yeah, we have had a busy off season, I suppose you can call it.
Yeah.
For us, we finished the year off with our Summer Cup, which is just such an awesome tournament that just keeps getting bigger and bigger each year, and hopefully next year we can get on the grass pitch as well as the synthetic and grow it even more. So that was great.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you, but the numbers, as you said, seem to get bigger and bigger. And it's like at the end of the year. And how are you finding it? Are the kids kind of really excited about it? Are the parents sort of saying, oh, no, not another football program that we got to get involved in? Or are they, that time of year being the weather's a little bit better, days are longer. How obviously it's being received very well, but your own experiences of it, tell us.
yeah, I love it, and I think what I sort of say to most people is when I design or come up with ideas and things like that, it's what I wanted as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And when I set up the Summer Cup, and we had set up the pitches for the first time, and the way we had it, the live music, the food trucks, the festival atmosphere, and I was excited as a 40-year-old man about what was going on, and I was just like, I wish I was out there playing.
Yeah,
So for a 10-year-old kid to be finishing up school on a Friday going, I get to go down to the club and have a kick with my mates in a 5v5 tournament. Mum and dad can, have a drink and have some food and spend a few hours down there. I just absolutely love it. And I think the only thing we missed this year was probably the weather. It wasn't the greatest summer.
Yep.
But I think from the development perspective, the kids, their seasons are quite short. So to give them that extra, I suppose, term of football and enjoyment with their friends, and probably take a little bit of pressure out of, your 9v9 or things like that. Just make it a 5v5, make it fun. It's a great format, and as I said, I think it will grow year on year.
Yeah, it's just the landscape certainly does seem to change year on year out. There's a lot more programs now happening 12 months of the year. And we've seen with the Masters. The Masters used to be that February, March kind of thing. Now they've gone into the December and, obviously taking advantage of the nicer weather, so to speak. But do you find like, there's a bit of player fatigue and some of the kids have tantrums, at the end of a school day and things like that? Oh, no, they generally love being out there. And as you said, it seems to be a real party type of atmosphere.
Yeah, it's cool, and that's kind of why I do it, because I want to make it exciting, and it's different. There's a lot of energy going around. The games are pretty short and sharp, and the kids, they design their own uniforms. They do all that sort of stuff, and so they're excited by it. And it's as I said, the reason we do 5v5 is because they get more touches on the ball. Whether they're the best player on the team or the worst player on the team, that they're always involved. So yeah, it's another football tournament, but the 5v5 format is very much a developmental program as well.
And are you finding a lot of the kids, they come, talk about it at school, they make their own little social teams, and are you finding that a lot of the kids that over the winter would miss out on football, so they might be playing AFL or basketball or tennis or rugby or whatever, that they actually end up playing soccer, taking up football, which is going to feed into my next question about numbers, the staggering increase in junior numbers. But have you found that there's a lot of kids that are being introduced to the sport at these summer camps, summer cups?
Yeah.
Sorry to speak.
Yeah, heaps. There's thinking off the top of my head, there's even kids there that we've gone, hey, look at that kid. He's never played football before.
Really, yeah.
And, he's, kids like that are now in our Performance Academy. We've, put him in front of Melbourne Victory and things like that and
Yeah.
say, hey, come and have a look at this kid. It's funny because on a Friday night here during the summer, the basketball is also on just over the road. And a lot of those families walk out, see what's going on, come and have a feed, come and have something to drink and sort of get around the sport as well. So, yes, I think everything we're doing, particularly in the Surf Coast Torquay area, it is having a really positive impact on the game.
Yeah. But it also seems to me to be kind of permeating throughout the rest of the football community. And, there's a lot of teams and clubs in the northern suburbs that end up sending teams and whatnot. So it seems to be really, you're almost doing Football Victoria's job of promoting the sport, aren't you?
Well, it's funny to say, but I think, and when I retired, I was cooked from the game. Like I was mentally, physically, I was exhausted. And I was like, I just need time away from the game. But once I stepped foot back on the pitch, I was like, I almost felt like I had a responsibility to share my knowledge, share my passion, share, all of those things that you've spent your life doing with kids, with this community. And I think it's because of, I just realised that I owed the game something. And I think the more people that, go out there and do that, it's just going to benefit the game to the greater. So instead of people sitting back going, oh, football should be here, here and there, well, it's go and do something about it. And I think that's sort of my, I suppose, philosophy or legacy now. It's go and, help the juniors in the community. And I think we're doing quite a good job at the moment.
Getting off the track here, is there enough of that? Is there enough of past players, past administrators, past people who have been involved in the sport, coaches, deciding that the game owes them something and they feel obliged to do something to promote? Or do we still see a lot of people in it for their own reasons, whatever that may be?
Oh, look, I think it's a hard one to really pinpoint like that, but I think it's more, as I said, from a personal point of view, I sort of sat back and it was literally the first training session I was out there with my daughter, and I just knew that I had to be out there doing something and giving back. And the game's been great to me from a professional point of view and playing all around the world and doing those sorts of things. But I just knew that I'm in Torquay. The kids down here traditionally haven't had access to fantastic football programs and coaching and things like that. And so I sort of just took it on my own shoulders and thought, you know what, I'll start this. I'll provide a elite program, which I think I do. The quality in everything we do is top notch. And you talk about numbers and things like that. And I think it sells itself because we run such a good program. And I say to my coaches, if another program comes in somewhere nearby or in Melbourne or whatever, and they're doing a job as good as us, then hats off to them because it's hard work.
It is. As much as we're starting to see the fruits of the labour here in the Geelong region, it's still a very tough environment, tough market to crack. But speaking of which, where we are starting to see the fruits of the labour here in this area, in this vicinity, I guess. Surf Coast, the first club that Coerver Coaching Geelong partnered with in the region, and just a few weeks ago, I was reading in the Surf Coast Times. There's talk that this year in 2026, Surf Coast could crack the 1,000 registered player number, which would have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, absolutely unheard of. I mean, on par with some of the super clubs of Melbourne. That's what we're talking about. And look, a fair bit of it has been to do with a lot of the coaching programs here through Coerver Coaching here at Surf Coast. Are you staggered as much as I am by that figure?
Yeah, it is cool. And I think, the stats last year, I think we were the 6th biggest club in Victoria and I think 7th biggest in terms of female participation, something along those lines. And for that to be happening in a town which is probably traditionally a footy town, and to see the amount of kids now, with a round ball in their hand or I do school drop off, and it's really cool because I know every second kid. It's Ado, how are you? And it's sort of just walk around like that. So it's really cool just to see how many kids now love the game. and yes, we've had a significant impact down here. It hasn't by any means been all us. But just to know that we are impacting kids' lives, they're fit, they're healthy, they're learning to love the game. I'm actually going overseas with two dads of girls that I've coached soon for a football tour, and they're non-football people.
Yeah.
So we're going over to catch some games, and I'm just going to take them around. England and wherever else we can get to, and watch some football because they've learnt to love it, and it's just through their kids playing.
Isn't that interesting? Through kids, yeah, kids are the bosses these days. They really dictate a lot of what you do as a family. Yeah. Now we're moving along to something over the off season. I guess that was probably maybe just as fun in one hand, but the reasons for it were probably a little bit more sadder, so to speak. And that's the Cooney family here in Torquay, very well known around football traps. The daughter Kyra Cooney Cross, Matilda, and something that you did in conjunction with Surf Coast was a benefit action, if you like, an online action as well as a benefit day. Mate, tell us all about that, because it was quite a massive event and a massive success as well.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think the news around Jess's health was really hard to take.
Yeah.
And in terms of knowing the family, I've known them for a long time, and they've been part of Surf Coast FC for a long time, and my dealings when I worked at Adidas, I assigned Kyra to the brand, and really got to know her quite well, and through that, her mum Jess and the wider family. So as soon as I found out, I spoke to Steve from the club and said, mate, we need to do something here. We need to try and support as much as we can. And I think within a week, we pulled together a day out on the pitch for the kids. And I think that the most pleasing thing for me was, yes, we raised a significant amount of money, but my girls group, for example, they built a cake store. They made their own cakes. I think themselves, they raised around, I think it was $1,300.
Yep.
They made signs. They were, the preparation they put into it was really cool, and that was kind of my message to the kids. It was, we live in a community to support people when they're going through these tough times, and for the community to rally together and support Jess and the family was, it was really cool to see.
Now, you said a word there that just resonated with me, community, and I think that's where I think you measure the success of football clubs or sporting clubs when they can actually create a community around the club. And I think those are the clubs. I mean, we look at some of the clubs around Geelong that have been around for 50 odd years, the North Geelong Warriors, the Geelong Rangers, Geelong in all its different type of elements, I suppose, reincarnations, Bell Park, and a lot of them were based around ethnic communities, but they managed to maintain their community. And here you said about Surf Coast in particular, it comes from a town that was an AFL town, but it's really starting to develop its own community. And I think most people, when they come down here, they really feel that sense of community. And that was just such an incredible, I guess, example of that community being created. And in many ways, I think that's when a club knows it's graduated to the next level, when it becomes the centre of a community. And kudos to everyone involved with that particular action. But $22,718 was raised for the Cooney family. Fantastic. But there was a training session. There was a sausage sizzle, cake stall, online auction, and there was obviously a Kyla Cooney Cross signed Arsenal jersey, and Juan Mata signed Melbourne Victory jersey. So all in all, was an amazing day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was supported by so many people, and so many people donated items for the auction and things like that. But as I said, it was a really important thing for us to do. And you talk about clubs, and I think clubs sometimes lose sight that the actual reason they exist is for the community. And to see, even here, like on a Friday night, you see all the kids, they train outside, and the upstairs here is packed for hours. And just seeing what happens around the football is probably, if not, or just as important as what happens on the pitch.
Absolutely. We're speaking with Adrian Leijer, former Socceroo legend, and he's the director and head coach of Coerver Coaching Geelong. After this break, we're going to speak a little bit about the Asia Pacific Performance Camp in Canberra and also the plans for 2026. Don't go away.
The world is yours. So work hard and you can have whatever it is you want.
And we're back here at the Surf Coast Football Club with Adrian Leijer. Now, Adrian, over the off season, we call it the off season, but it's I might as well call it the on season.
Yeah.
How busy things get. But you had the chance to jump up to Canberra for the Coerver Coaching Asia Pacific Performance Camp. Now that's for 3 days, and it's a massive event, isn't it? From the coaching courses that they do, plus the clinics that they do, and there's so much involved in it, and that's kind of, I guess, aimed more at the elite element of the kids. Is that right? Tell us a bit more about what that involves.
Yeah, so there's about 400 kids head up to Canberra, so it is a big week. There's a lot going on. It's not necessarily aimed at the elite kids. It's more aimed at kids from all around Australia and Asia Pacific, and they sort of come into Canberra, and we had a really great time. We organised to all stay in the same hotel. We organised some dinners together as a big group, and ice baths between trainings and swimming, and I always talk about it, as I spoke about with Surf Coast. The really important thing for me, and what I remember throughout my junior playing days and even my professional days, is what happens away from the field. So the kids just had an awesome time hanging out.
And for a lot of them, is this probably their first experience of real professionalism, like on tour, staying as a team, all of the having breakfast together, all of those little things, as you say, off the field that makes a team so much a team.
Yeah, the parents still travel with their children, so it is their own. Their parents are looking after the individual, but we had 35 kids from Geelong. We had 90 people travelling as the group in total, and it was just really cool to be away, and the parents could relax a little bit. The weather was fantastic. Really good time of year to go to Canberra, and there's so much to see there too. So it was a great experience. I've done it 2 or 3 times now, and obviously I'll be doing it for many more years to come.
No, they say Canberra's a boring city, but I don't know. I always found going there, all right, for a weekend maybe, there's always something to see, something to do, and especially if there's a major event like, for example, the Asia Pacific Performance Camp, it just seems to personify exactly that. Now, at the actual camp, there were 3 Geelong players who were awarded Player of the Camp awards. Pretty amazing achievement. Tell us about the fabulous trio there.
Yeah, so it was my daughter Macy. She won the under-10s one, which was nice because she can never win one when I'm in charge. So it was nice that she got recognised, and she deserves it too. Yeah. So she did well, and Edie Andrews, she won the under-13.
Yep.
Girls Player of the Camp, and she also won our Performance Academy Player of the Camp last year. So she's a delightful kid and doing really well. She's kicked on to Galaxy now, and still coming to do stuff with us on Monday nights before she trains. And one that is just a pleasure to coach and doing really well. And then young Hadley was the other one. He won the
Hadley
boys.
Eaton.
Hadley Eaton, the boys under 12s. Again, it was his second time going.
So how do they award them that? Is it just based on observation, this and that, or are the games and they actually watch them playing games, and how do they actually come across to selecting them?
It's more the individual coaches who coach that group for the week. So they're pretty much with that group for most mornings, and then in the afternoons they break out and play the World Cup tournaments and stuff that they play. So pretty much feedback from those guys. I know there were a couple of other Geelong kids that were names were put forward and very close to winning it too. So we had a really good showing, and I always say our kids do really well up there.
That's awesome to see. And one other thing about that as well is for the coaches as well. The coaches that go up there and they're probably do they do coaching courses there as part of the whole weekend as well? So they get an opportunity to invest in themselves as well.
Yeah. So the coaches went up on the Monday. The camp doesn't start till the Thursday. So they did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, coach education, development, and everything that comes with that. And then, from Thursday to Sunday, they're flat out because they're on the pitch with the kids. And then, as you know, once you get back to the pool, the kids just want to be with the coaches in the pool. So we did some recovery sessions and some ice baths with them. And no, we had good fun. It's a really cool experience for the kids, even just having dinner with us and hanging out together. It's a lot of fun.
And from an Australian national perspective, how is Coerver going? I mean, obviously, Coerver here in Geelong and its surrounds is going great guns thanks to you and your team of coaches. But how is it going around the country?
Yeah, I think it's been in Canberra for 25 years now, so they're really well established and they're the leaders in our region. Geelong's doing a fantastic job, but as I said earlier, we need to keep pushing, need to keep growing, and need to keep making sure the program is at that level that I expect it, and that ultimately for me it comes down to the coach education and their development, because they're the ones that need to roll out the program to the level I expect. So that's a big focus of ours. Sydney, the APAC TD has taken over Sydney, so he's been with Coerver for 22 years. So he's trying to establish that program to the levels that it should be. And Melbourne is just ticking along. They've been going for a long time too. So I know there's interest in other locations, but for me, I really just try and focus on what we're doing, because I know there's so much time and effort and things that you need to put into making sure the program is doing what it should be. And we're doing a good job. Like, I've looked at Ballarat and Bendigo, I've thought about it, but I just don't want to take my focus away from here at the moment.
And it is growing, it is expanding, because not only are there more and more kids starting to enrol in Coerver from what we can see, and there are more and more programs, but over the course of the summer, you also stitched up 2 new partnership agreements. So obviously, when we talk about club partnership agreements, Surf Coast was that first club partner that you had in the region. But now you've gone up north of the Barwon River, so to speak, and North Geelong Warriors. Now that's a huge thing, because obviously the Warriors have for many years been known as the leaders as far as junior football. But now it's taking it to a whole new level. But it's not obviously just North Geelong, but it's the kids up in the northern suburbs as well that get that exposure. How did that come about?
Yeah, look, I think, to be honest, the way it came about was my girls team, who I've coached since under sevens, and Stipe from North Geelong. He was sort of involved in their rep team and saw the girls and sort of asked a lot of questions about their development, what they'd been doing and everything. And I think that was probably what triggered his thought of, this could benefit North Geelong a lot. And I've been saying it for years. I've been really trying to, get clubs in the north to in a way accept us, because I think
do they still fear you as a competitor in a way?
Well, North Geelong obviously doesn't now, but I think some clubs see us as a distraction rather than a support mechanism. And we are here to support the kids and support their development, and all the kids coming through our program, I guarantee you none of them are getting worse. So we're doing a really good job in that development space, and it's awesome to have a North Geelong who, as you said, historically probably the biggest and proudest club from the region, and to be able to align with them, we're starting at the bottom, and I'm sure, as you've seen at Surf Coast, that the relationship's just going to grow. And so now we've got Surf Coast and North Geelong, and it's we're proud of it.
And no surprise that both those clubs have got in the junior girls space CPL teams. So that's the next step before they get to NPL girls juniors, or whatever you want to call it now. So it's changing Football Victoria changes the labels every year. But it is obviously a great, I guess, a sign of things that, like the incredible growth that's happened at Surf Coast. You can expect that up in the northern suburbs, which has always been very, very popular. Now, that's on the club front, but as far as schools go as well, there's an exciting development there as well, which is going to really have a big impact on a lot of kids, well, south of the Barwon, and that's we're talking about the Lutheran College. Yeah, tell us more about that connection.
That's another big one, and we've got a fantastic relationship with Geelong College, and done a really good job within their football program as well, and that's growing at rapid rates. And then to be able to get the opportunity with Geelong Lutheran, which is in the Armstrong Creek area, and it's enabled us to open up a Performance Academy this side of town as well. So that's been that relationship's again only in its early stages, but we've got some really great plans, PE classes, GISA programs, supporting them from kinder to year 12 basically, and it's exciting that we've got 2 schools, 2 partner clubs, and we're going to be impacting a lot of kids.
Yeah, no, that's the opportunities are plentiful, and the kids of this region have never had such great quality programs and quality coaches to choose from. But you mentioned the Performance Academy. That's now taking things to a whole new level. And from personal experience, I know with my little boy, I've seen how much that has aided the development, and in particular the technical development of a lot of these kids. Now there's 2 Performance Academies, so let's talk about that. The existing one that's been there for, is it 3 years now running, up at the Leisure Time Centre?
Yep.
Yeah. And then this new one now at Lutheran College. How are you finding it? Has splitting the 2, has it sort of brought the numbers a little bit down, or is it actually kind of now giving more kids more opportunities?
Yeah.
How is it operating? How is it working?
Well, I over-ordered with my product, and I'm literally at my bare bones at the moment. So it's look, it's been great, the reaction. Yeah. I expected an increase because, as you said, the kids themselves are now, parents are seeing their performances on the pitch. They're obviously going to tell their kids what they're doing, and the program itself is selling itself. So it's great to see the numbers increasing, and the way that it's set up. Our second session at Norlane is packed. Our Geelong Lutheran session is packed. Probably the only one which is maybe a little light on is the first session at Norlane on a Monday. But even that one, we've got 4 groups running, and they're a really good standard. And I'm sure that one will fill up as well eventually. So going really well. It's a great program. We finished the year off last year with a sort of 6-hour performance day at Geelong College, and that was one of my favourite days, and that wrapped up our year. So stuff like that with the Performance Academy, we just do those little extras, and the kids get a little bit more, and it's a lot of fun. The thing that I love about it most is probably the connection they make with their coach, and they hold that connection throughout the whole year. And at the end of the year, you get these really nice cards from kids and parents, and all that sort of thing, and they really appreciate the effort that's gone into it. And the kids they're doing a great job. If they don't put the effort in, then they don't get the reward. So they're all doing a really good job.
Phenomenal. Well, it just seems like you really got your hands full, and it's quite an exciting year ahead. So, mate, wish you all the best. And once again, thank you so much for your support of the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast and everything that we're trying to do to promote the sport. But wishing you all the best. But before we let you go, we're going to play a little clip now of a project that a good friend of mine, Matt Windley from Bruce Media, is involved in. And it's about a project that they're involved in. But just recently, they had this episode of their new show, new documentary, if you like, about the idea or the concept of Geelong getting its own A-League club and what that would mean for the region. And yourself and another legend of the region, Josip Skorka, was interviewed. Folks, just have a watch of this video, this short excerpt, and we'll be back.
For people in that area to get behind it.
We've got to get the team right. That's the first thing. And I know it might sound easy picking a team, but there is hundreds of clubs out there, and finding the right one is like finding a needle in a haystack. I'm not going to lie, a few of us in the office have been spending a bit of time scrolling around on Google Maps looking at the most suitable club, but there's just so many to choose from. In the end, we narrowed it down to 3 areas. Obviously, we don't know everything about these areas, so we thought it would be a really good idea to go speak to a couple of soccer legends that live in these areas or have played in these areas.
Geelong is an amazing place. North Geelong Soccer Club was a place I played all my junior football, all my memories, all my mates, everything's from this Geelong region.
The Surf Coast, it's one of the best places in the world. It's a really active community. Everyone wants to be out doing a sport. And for me, soccer's really taking off. It's really, really growing. Geelong, the population's booming. The Surf Coast, it's going crazy as well. You know, you look at the Geelong Cats and see how proud the city is. Everyone here would take ownership of the club. I don't know if you could put the blue and white hoops on them, but I think if you had a Geelong team, a Geelong brand that they could all follow, I think there'd be a lot of people that would jump on board and support it.
I think with the population it has and the type of passionate clubs that it has in the region, it can have a club and a successful one at that.
I think it's a parochial town that would absolutely get behind its own team.
Yeah. Are there many clubs in that area that would fit the bill?
I think that's possibly the question. I'm not sure if there's a standout. I also think the footy thing is an interesting one. I think it would be okay for a while this is like a lovely little club sort of like down the tiers, but if it was starting to get really popular, I reckon they'd find ways to quash it.
Well, Ado, that was a really interesting interview, and I found that quite an interesting thing because it conjures up all sorts of, whether something like that was to happen or not happen, and let's put everything aside and let's talk about the hypotheticals. If Geelong was to get an A-League side or a side in the Australian Championship or whatever the case may be, but truly a side that represents the entire region and is playing at, let's say, a state-of-the-art stadium, bearing in mind it is a state election year, so the pollies will probably start coming out and promising the world. But hypothetically speaking, Geelong's got a team in the A-League, a club in the A-League. What would it do for the region, in your opinion?
Oh, look, I think it'd be amazing if it happened. The reality of it happening, it's probably unlikely, but I think you talk hypotheticals, what you can't ignore is the number of kids playing in this region. And I think what you also can't ignore is the quality of the kids in this region. There's a lot of kids out there playing and there's not enough space. There's not enough pitches. I know at Surf Coast we're struggling to find appropriate times for the kids to train. So I think if you did have a centralised club, if you did have a club which was, as I said in the video, Geelong branded, something that, people would genuinely get behind, I think it would work. The thing is there's so many football fans out there, but they tend to go and watch the English Premier League or things like that. So they are out there. It's just creating a product where they're genuinely attached to and have pride in. And that's why I said if you get the blue and white hoops on it, everyone in Geelong would be behind it.
Maybe like Queen's Park Rangers or something like that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm sure it's a topic that won't go away too quickly. And as we start to develop the kids that are going to go on to playing, whether it's in the NPL or the NPLW, we're starting to get, I think there's 3 or 4 Geelong girls in the NPLW. We've got 3 or 4 Geelong players in the NPL as well competition. So bit by bit, that kind of pool of talented players starts to grow as well. It is interesting. It is exciting, no doubt. Whatever the future holds, I'm sure Adrian Leijer and Coerver Coaching will be right in the midst of it. And once again, mate, all the very best for the season 2026 and beyond.
Thanks, Sonchi. You too, mate. And it's great to be on board again.
Good on you. Adrian Leijer, Director of Coerver Coaching Geelong. We're going to take a short break and continue with our season opening episode of the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast.